What's up, everybody? This is Jose from Sun and Life. On today's video, we're gonna explore Melbourne, Florida. What's up, everybody? This is Jose from Sun and Life. On today's video, we're going to explore Melbourne, Florida, but we're gonna look at the hood. Now, before you say, why you always gotta show the bad stuff, I want you to know that we actually did a video showing the good stuff. Okay, a 1 hour long video showing the water and all the good stuff. But now we're gonna run up into the hoods and show you guys what the real streets of Melbourne, Florida actually look like. So before you go on there and say you're only showing us the bad side, remember, on our channel, there's already a 1 hour long video showing you everything that's nice. Now, Melbourne, Florida is a beautiful city, so you wouldn't expect there to be hoods, but every city this big have good parts and bad parts. What I will say about this neighborhood here that we're gonna explore is that despite there being crime possibly anywhere in the city, all the police presence that I've seen has been centered around this one neighborhood. There's cops everywhere in this neighborhood. So I don't know exactly why there's so many cops in this neighborhood, even if it's more high crime rate. I don't know. A little bit to the locals who don't want to be on camera. And what I'm getting out of the local people here, like actually on the streets, is that despite Melbourne being a large city, it seems like the police is only patrolling and almost targeting this particular area, which is the black area of the city. Now, some of the locals mentioned that they just put a speed trap on Grant, which is like, why out of all the neighborhoods in the city would they put it on Grant? Like, just kind of like a real obvious, kind of clear thing. Like this whole city has, it's almost like the entire police force is just in this one little area. Like where they could put police like anywhere, but it seems like they only want to put police in this little area right here, which is kind of embarrassing, really. And again, it's very obvious. Like, we've been in Melbourne, like the whole day we've been in Melbourne, and the whole day we've been here in Melbourne, and we haven't seen any police anywhere else. But all of a sudden, there's so much police here. Could it be that this is a higher crime rate area? Correct. But then they also have a speed trap. They're talking to the residents, and they told me that on Grant, they just put up a speed trap. So it seems like there might be some kind of prejudice towards this neighborhood for some reason. So yes, they do have hoods here. Like any city this size, it's gonna have hoods. The real hood video. But yeah, of course, there are hoods in Melbourne. Any city this size is going to have hoods. They'll be coming right to our channel, where you can get a more extensive the real streets of Melbourne, Florida. At a place like Melbourne or Naples or Sarasota doesn't have hoods, but yeah, there's hoods in all those cities. I will say this though, it looks like the police pull more people over in this neighborhood. All right, so let's go for a drive around in the neighborhood and see what's really going on out here. So we're gonna do a drive around in this neighborhood. Presence here in this neighborhood, which I would go over Florida, and one of the things that I've noticed in this neighborhood is a massive police presence. And it seems like they're giving a lot of tickets for blowing a stop sign, anything really. Now, I was able to get some really good information about the neighborhood, talking to the locals. There's good people here. I mean, I just walked around this neighborhood and I was able to talk to several people about their community, and but I realized it was kind of time to kind of keep it moving, like this right here where it tells you your speed. And these stop signs are probably, from what the locals are telling me, netting about $1,000 worth of tickets for the city every single day. Let's keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. You know, people are getting a lot of tickets, and I guess the people that are from the neighborhood, they know to stop at the stop signs and all that. Listen to her, nice Impala. They feel that to a large extent, when they travel around town, they pick certain routes and stuff to avoid the places where the police hang out, because the police will pull them over because, you know, she's white and he's black or whatever, and the police are kind of you know, they feel like the police targets that, you know, when they see stuff like that. So it's possible for a large extent that there's some misappropriation going on in this community as well. So it's kind of like it puts the people that live in this community in kind of like a battle between law enforcement and crime. And again, Melbourne isn't a place you associate with them. You think about Melbourne, you might think about space launches, you might think about you know, all that stuff like space launches. You might think about I don't know, beaches, you know, tourism. Anyways, anytime you get out and you walk through these neighborhoods, there's people that notice you and they don't really appreciate it. Well, it is a little odd for us to kind of actually get out and talk to people in the neighborhood. We don't usually do that. They said that one that was behind my seat. You can see they're building new apartments here. I'm gonna guess they're apartments, and these are definitely not going to be $1,200 apartments. These might go for $1,400, $1,500, $1,600. So even though this area here has a lot of crime and other types of activity going on, usually this hangout spot right here is pretty deep. Real deep hangout spot right here. Lots of people. Very deep hangout spot right there. Even though this area has hangout spots and crime and all that's present in the neighborhood, clearly present in the neighborhood, you know, police activity strong and all that, they're still building condominiums. So it almost feels like the police presence is kind of one aspect of pushing the regular people that are from here out. All the time there's always somebody saying, oh, you know, we don't have real hoods, and you know, you got to go to Chicago or Detroit or, you know, or Baltimore. They always mention they always mention Detroit, Chicago, Memphis, or St. Louis, and say there's no real hoods in Florida. You know, get out and walk around one of these neighborhoods and see how quickly the locals are going to try to figure out who you are, you know, or how quick it'll be a problem. So it may not look like it to you that these are hoods. According to the locals that I talked to, a lot of people have lost their lives in just this little strip here too. So another thing you got to look at is murder rate. Can you look at the murder rate for Melbourne, Florida? And Chicago's murder rate is like 20 per 100,000. Okay, so I'll have somebody, because the thing about Florida, you know, and hoods and stuff, it don't matter what it look like. You got palm trees or whatnot. That don't matter if you got palm trees. You know what I mean? A lot of times people assume that these places in Florida, like Naples or Melbourne or Fort Myers or whatever, that they don't have real hoods. But the reality is, when you start looking at the murder rates, like I've been in places where the murder rate's 40 out of 100,000. In other words, twice as high, you're twice as likely to get murdered in these places as you are in Chicago. But somebody will say, oh, that's not a real hood, you need to see Chicago. Well, it's twice as dangerous as Chicago. I had that a lot in my Birmingham video, where people live in Birmingham like, oh, we don't really have hoods in Birmingham, Alabama. You got to go to Chicago, that's a real hood. We don't have hoods here. Well, the murder rate in Birmingham, Alabama is more than 3 times the murder rate of Chicago. So what happens a lot of times is that people they have an opinion, but their opinion is based on their own personal ignorance, not based on actual statistical analysis. So when you start to look at statistical analysis, you'll find out that some of these places, despite being in Florida and having palm trees on the front yard, can actually be some pretty grimy places to live.
9.5 out of 100,000 people.
Right, so for the whole city, the murder rate here is 9 out of 100,000. Now, here's the thing.
There's 81,000 people here.
There's 81,000 people here. Now, so that puts it out of how many thousand people? How many people live here?
81,000.
So that means there's about 7 murders here in the last year. But if those murders are all in one neighborhood, all right, so now we're turning into a neighborhood called, let's see here, Liberia Avenue, Driscoll Heights. But if all those murders happen within like 5% of the city's landmass, which is the case here, then that will mean that the murder rate in this particular neighborhood could be 5 or 6 times higher than the murder rate in a place like, for example, Chicago. You know, you could have a city where overall the murder rate of 9 is not bad. It's just a little bit above national average. But if all those murders happen within 5% of the cityscape, then living in those particular neighborhoods is no walk in the park. Again, over here you got these shady little, project-looking apartment duplexes, and here they're building some giant thing next to it. And sometimes the people that, the developers that are buying this land, and I mean, this is, whatever that's going to be, it's going to be massive. You can tell it's just by the elevators that are going in first. That's going to be a massive complex there. And they might want to charge $1,800, $1,900 for rent. So what's hard about living in Florida is that the people that live in the adjacent neighborhoods like here, those developers, they're going to put pressure on law enforcement to patrol the area more, and kind of displace the population. So I've seen a lot of places in Florida, like Sistrunk in Broward County, where gentrification is going on. But here in Melbourne, it's the most blatantly out in the open displacement of people, or pressure on the locals to kind of pack up and leave because of development. So it's a very interesting scenario that's happening in Lower Florida. But if you think Melbourne, Florida doesn't have hoods, I hope this video can kind of enlighten you a little bit. There's more to it than just that, you know what I mean? I mean, that's typical hood stuff right there, like real projects and stuff like that. I like to talk, and like a lot of the other YouTube videos where people do these hood drive arounds, they don't say anything. They just show the hoods and that's it. I can't see me uploading a video to you, and they get a lot of views because what happens is, if I don't, like, I've done 2 silent videos the last month. We did 2 silent videos, one for Jacksonville and one for Sebring. Both videos one got 12,000 views, the other got like 8,000 views. So they did all right. Just did the best. Now, so I know if I don't say anything at all, if this video was just a silent drive around, it would actually likely get more views than if I talk, because sometimes I'll say what you're thinking, so you won't make a comment.
Cubano Cuban.
Yeah, some people just sitting there on the side of the road. Not too many homeless people here compared to other Florida cities. We've seen a few, 3 or 4. Yeah. Florida used to not be like that, but it's become like that everywhere. So I don't think it's just your town that's dealing with these problems. It's everywhere now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this at a Cuban restaurant.